My audition process was a little unusual because I, at the time, was starring on a drama called Prey. And they had been auditioning Graces for much of the spring, and they hadn't found her yet. And I had just wrapped, and I got a call from my agent who said, I've got a script you have to read. And I said, I just wrapped, call me in 3 months, I need to sleep. And he said, this one's special, stay in bed, you have to read it. And it was delivered to me, and I read it in bed, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is special. And I met with Max and Dave, and they were great, but I was really tired. And I said, I just think I'm too tired. And then Jim Burrows wanted me to come to his house to read with Eric McCormack, who had already been cast. And so I did. And this was after Max and Dave showed up at my house with a liter of vodka and a lime and said, we want to answer every question you possibly can have because we really want you. And for 3 hours, we talked about the trajectory of the show. I asked about, the portrayal of gay characters, how it was going to be different from in the past, how they saw the relationships with the straight women. It seemed like such an amazing opportunity, but it also felt very provocative and dangerous. And I didn't want to sign on to something that was not going to push the boundaries and do it right. And by the end of the 3 hours, they had convinced me that we were all on the same page, and I went in and I read, and then I was Grace. Ellen DeGeneres had just come out, and her show subsequently went off the air. And I just remember us sitting around reading the pilot out loud and saying, this is really unique, but we don't know, we might be off the air in 2 episodes. America may just not want it. And I remember after the first episode, we were sitting on the set, and Eric whispered to me, he goes, I think we're going to be here for a while. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. And the writers did their magic, and they created 4 distinct characters that were funny in their own right, but magic when they were put together. And people fell in love with the characters. And then, oh, by the way, these 2 are straight, these 2 are gay. And that was how our show was sort of fed to the United States, and soon after, people started expanding their hearts, and as a result, our viewership expanded as well. We're performers, and when you sign up to do a sitcom, you want to perform and you want to make people laugh. That's our job. And we knew we were doing that, and that felt like a win, and it felt very fulfilling. But then to start getting all of the letters from people saying, you're helping my family heal, you're giving me the courage to come out and be who I really am, or my best friend won't speak to me anymore, but watching it makes me have hope. Those kind of letters all of a sudden made us realize that the show had a social impact that none of us even predicted, and more importantly, it wasn't the goal. It just sort of happened. And I think all 4 of us realized at that point that we were a part of something that was really unique, and that there was a kind of responsibility attached to it. And I think as a result, we all in different ways became more politically active and more vocal when it came to social justice and equality. Oh, my favorite was the exploding water bra, by far. To me, that was, I think, the most broad we were, at least that I was involved in the 8 years, and I felt like it was kind of a wink to Lucy and Desi, and it just was a perfect comic set piece. And it's just the fact that there were writers in another room writing this and coming up with it. I still am completely in awe of writers who have that kind of imagination. On shoot night, it's freezing here, and the tube that was supposed to expel the water through my bra broke, and all the water was going back onto me, and so I was completely sopping wet for hours, and I got a very bad case of bronchitis, like almost in the hospital, like out of work, 2 weeks in bed. It was it was worth it. He, captain my captain. He's it. He is a legend. When you think of four-camera comedy and director, that is the name that is the first off your tongue. He is a master. He is a musician. I love watching him direct because he doesn't watch with his eyes often. He just paces back and forth and he listens. He listens to the musicality of the comedy, and he knows when the music starts to go off, and he'll be like, go back, go back, go back. And he prevents us from finishing the punchline because he wants to save it and protect it for the audience. And it really is a remarkable thing to behold. But the privilege of doing every single episode for 8 years with him, it's just ridiculous good fortune for all of us. The one that stands out is the exploding water bra episode in the beginning when Eric and Sean we were doing the who touches who thing, and it was so fun. I felt like I was back in graduate school in acting class, and doing a Lotsie. It's like how silly can we make this, and how symmetrical can we make this? And Jimmy would be like, okay, no, now you touch Eric's boob, and he's like, no, okay, now you touch Debra's left one, and then, it was that choreographed, and we tried different configurations, and when we got it, all of us laughed at the same time, and I don't know why that particular combination was so funny, but it was the only combination that was really funny, and Jim Burrows was the one who gave us the space to play and guided us. It's the perfect relationship, except for sex. It is, they know each other, they love each other, they respect each other, they challenge each other, they protect each other, they support each other, and it's not, it's just a little bit less than a perfect relationship, because perfect is not funny. So it's flawed, and we, are codependent and neurotic, and we let each other down. And I think it's the universality of those things that people can see themselves, or they can see relationships in their lives in these two characters, even though Will and Grace's circumstances are so very specific. It still looks like a marriage, or it looks like a regular best friendship. It's I don't know, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, beautiful relationship. We had decided collectively ahead of time that we wanted it to end after season 8, because we wanted to give the writers time to really think about how to wrap it up. We wanted to do it justice. None of us saw that, future in the future. We never saw that coming. And it was a very powerful, emotional night. We felt such pride, and we felt it was time. It was time for us to step away and to sort of wake up our creative muscles and use them in a different way. But it didn't in any way take away just the feeling of being completely bereft the next day, and I just remember saying, I just don't want September to come when I'm supposed to be getting in my car and driving to Radford to Stage 17, and I'm not going to be able to because there's going to be another show there. It was, but I always said, because after that, people would always say, are you guys going to have a special, and I'd say, how can we? We know what happens 25 years later. Maybe when we're all in our 60s and 70s, we could do like the geriatric Will and Grace, Like I could totally see the Golden Girls Will and Grace version, Les All in Boca, who knows, it could happen. I mean, now, with this coming back, never say never. That's what I've learned from all of this. There really is nothing that compares to the experience of a live taping. It's joyful and it's raucous and it's electric, and so it felt really good being back. The first time we walked out, and the audience went insane, and we heard our music, and every one of us just started to cry. It felt very surreal. I didn't realize there was going to be a huge crowd there. The mayor showing up, I was like, do we have like food for him? Like, what's happening? What is going on? And then he made it Will and Grace Day, and I think literally we all just sort of looked at each other and were like, what is happening? And all of it put together, really, it's extraordinary, the goodwill and the love that is coming at us, from many, many different places. It's so, it's so gratifying, and we just hope that we can make everybody laugh as hard as we did before, or more. I think people love the show because they know they're going to laugh out loud at some point in this, 22-minute, story. I mean, that's the kind of comedy that lives within the universe of Will and Grace. It is big, and it's broad, and it's silly, and it's vaudevillian at times, and it's I don't think you can overestimate the power, the healing power of laughter. And I think ultimately that's why people come.